Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to cut right through all the noise surrounding software development to figure out what really separates the best teams from, well, everyone else. We're going to build a super clear, actionable model that shows you how to get from that chaos of missed deadlines and buggy releases to a place of real clarity and high performance. All right, so here's the game plan. First, we'll take a hard look at why the old way of managing projects is just frankly broken. Then, we'll dive into the 3 pillars of a much better approach, building what's called a generative culture, mastering the science of flow, and why you need transformational leadership. And then, at the end, we'll get to the really good part, the staggering results this whole model can actually deliver. Right, so let's be real. If you've ever been on a software project that felt like a total slow-motion disaster, constantly behind schedule and way over budget, you are definitely not alone. It's a problem folks have been talking about for decades, but the solution, well, it isn't what you might think. See, the heart of the problem is this. Managing software isn't like building a bridge. With a bridge, you have a fixed blueprint. In software, the plans are always evolving as we learn more. All the complexity is kind of hidden under the surface, and those traditional management methods, they just can't keep up with that reality. And this right here, this is the famous Brooks's Law. It just perfectly captures this totally counterintuitive truth about software development. Our gut instinct when a project is late is to just throw more people at it, but that actually makes it later. So why? It's because the communication overhead just explodes. Suddenly, everyone's spending more time in meetings and actually writing code. So what this all boils down to is a pretty fundamental shift in our thinking. We have to move away from this world of rigid, upfront planning and siloed teams. Instead of just focusing on checking boxes on a process and blaming people when things go wrong, the new way is all about adaptive planning, real collaboration, delivering actual value, and maybe most importantly, learning from our failures. And that leads us perfectly into the first pillar of our new model, a generative culture. You see, high performance doesn't start with your tools or your tech stack. It starts with your people. It's all about creating an environment of high trust and what we call psychological safety. So what is psychological safety? It just means that people on your team feel safe to speak up, to share wild ideas, to experiment, and yeah, even to fail, all without the fear that they're going to get blamed or punished. And let's be clear, this isn't about just being nice. It's about creating an environment where learning and continuous improvement can actually happen. Now check out this table from the sociologist Ron Westrom. He lays out 3 types of cultures. But here's where it gets really interesting. Research from the book Accelerate found a direct predictive link between that generative column on the right and high-performing teams. In these cultures, cooperation is super high. Failure leads to inquiry, not blame. And messengers, well, they're trained, not shot. Okay, so once you've got that culture humming along, the next piece of the puzzle is optimizing the flow of work. This is really the science of how an idea travels from just a concept all the way to a happy customer as quickly and as smoothly as humanly possible. The DevOps Handbook really nails this idea of enabling a fast, smooth flow of work from left to right. The whole goal is to maximize your throughput by hunting down and eliminating constraints and bottlenecks. And the key ways to do that? Make the work visible, limit how much you're working on at once, and break big things down into smaller pieces. Okay, seriously, if there is one thing you remember about flow, make it this: work in small batches. See, large batches mean slow feedback and huge risk. Small batches, on the other hand, slash that risk. They accelerate your feedback from days or weeks down to just hours, and they let you course correct so much faster. These practices, which come from fields like lean manufacturing and continuous delivery, are all designed to create really fast feedback loops. They help you turn deployments from this high-anxiety, all-hands-on-deck emergency into something that's routine, predictable, even boring. And trust me, when it comes to deployments, boring is beautiful. All right, so what's the glue that holds all of this together? It's our final pillar, leadership. A high-performance culture and a state of flow, you can't just mandate those from the top down. They have to be actively cultivated by a whole new kind of leader. This quote from Leading Lean Software Development just nails the shift. It's about moving away from just demanding results to getting deeply engaged with the how, the process, so you can actually coach and enable your team to solve their own problems. So, in the real world, what does this leader actually look like? Well, they stop being a commander who just barks orders and centralizes all the authority. Instead, they become a coach, someone who provides a clear vision, who empowers their teams to make decisions, and, critically, creates the space for learning from both the wins and the losses. Okay, so you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but so what? Why go through all this trouble for culture and flow and leadership? Well, here's why. Because the data shows the teams who get these three things right don't just perform a little bit better, they perform exponentially better. And the results are absolutely mind-blowing. Let's just look at the numbers from the State of DevOps research. High-performing teams deploy new code 46 times more frequently. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's the difference between shipping new value to your customers multiple times a day versus maybe once a month, or worse. And their lead time, that's the time from a developer finishing a piece of code to that code being live for customers, is an incredible 440 times faster. Think about that. That's the difference between getting an idea to market in under an hour versus waiting for, what, half a year? And when things do go sideways, because they always do, these high performers recover 170 times faster. This isn't magic. It's because they've built quality and feedback into the system from the very start. You see, speed and stability, they're not trade-offs. They're the outcomes of the exact same practices. And maybe the most surprising part of all of this, moving this fast doesn't mean you're reckless. It's the total opposite. The changes made by these elite teams are 5 times less likely to fail out in production. They achieve incredible speed through safety and quality, not by sacrificing it. Okay, let's boil this all down. After everything we've talked about, what's the single most important idea you should take away from this for you and your team? What should guide your journey to becoming a high-performance team? You know, this quote from the Phoenix Project just cuts right to the heart of it. The ultimate goal isn't to do agile or to implement DevOps or to blindly follow some framework. The goal is to deliver real value to your customers and to achieve your organization's mission. These pillars, culture, flow, leadership, they are simply the best way to get to that outcome. The journey from chaos to clarity isn't about some giant, disruptive revolution. It starts with a single step. So I'll leave you with this question. Look at your team right now as a complex system. What is the one small, tiny change you could introduce today that would improve the flow of information? Because whether that's fostering a little more psychological safety, or making work a little more visible, or empowering your team just a bit more, that small change could be the start of everything.